8 a.m. on a Saturday morning. A room full of nervous teenagers, tapping feet, deep sighs. Sound familiar? Taking the SAT and the ACT are always hard times for high school students. But imagine being the student athlete preparing for these tests. Having to manage schoolwork, practices, and making time to study for tests, which will determine your near future. In a 2014 Huffington Post article, the College Board explicitly stated that the SAT, before its redesign, was more likely to benefit students with free time to study and those who could afford test prep materials. Since that time, the tests have been modified to be more forgiving with students, but not enough has changed to where students with less time to study are not left behind. Rockdale football player Kelston Lackey knows the struggle of managing sports with time to study. We spoke with him about his experience making time for the tests that will determine his future. Being a student athlete is difficult for many, but a small group of students have mastered this balancing act. Swimmer Claire Smith has been a very successful student, athlete, and standardized test taker. We spoke to her about preparing for the SAT and ACT from her perspective.
So I've taken the SAT 2 times, once with the essay and once without, and I like taking it without the essay more, just because, like once you're done with all the tests, and they're like, oh, you have an extra essay to do, and you're just like, but yeah, and I took the ACT with the writing portion as well, and both of them were okay, they weren't too hard, they weren't too easy. I felt pretty good about it when I took both of them, more so for the SAT than the ACT, because like I said, I think it's a lot easier than the ACT, but yeah. The first time I took the SAT and ACT, I didn't prepare, I didn't study at all, but then the second time taking the ACT, I took the Saturday courses at RCA, the 4 or 3 weeks before the exam, and that helped my score a lot for the SAT. But that's all the preparation that I really did. Having practices after school, you literally have less time to be able to do everything else. But I can't really say that much about it because I didn't study for it. But in general, I think student athletes, since we have to, stay for practice for hours after school, it puts a little bit more stress on us just because we have to do everything that people that get home right at 3:05 have to do in a lot less amount of time. So I think it's all just about time management though. I think student athletes are perfectly capable of getting good scores if they put their mind to it. They just have to manage their time. They have to put in the work. They can do stuff at school when there's nothing happening, study for that. It all just depends on how willing you are to do.
Student athleting seems hard. Of course, a lifestyle composed of multitasking would be difficult. However, athletes usually have a lot more going for them that can help balance out their test scores. Colleges sympathize with student athletes because they too would struggle with switching from school for 7 hours, then practicing for up to 4 hours, homework for however long that may take, and finally studying for the SAT or the ACT with whatever time is allotted. These are considered special cases, and the circumstances vary. Let's say we have a student in Tallahassee, Florida, who is an All-American track runner, has a 3.7 GPA, and his SAT score was 1,060. It's clear that he has the potential to do well on the track and in the classroom, and somewhere along the way, enough time may not have been focused on test preparation. Across the country, in Lancaster, Massachusetts, a pretty average swimmer with a 4.3 GPA was able to score a perfect 36 on the ACT. This student is inexcusably academic and college readiness potential, so an admissions officer would concentrate on those elements. The main idea of these scenarios is to show that students are accommodated based on their circumstances. When it all comes down to it, the life of a student athlete is a human juggling act. As they say, you win some, you lose some, but every struggle eventually pays off in the end. For Rockdale Live, I'm Annalicia Law.